So in this demo, we're going to be talking about DPX vPlus and its integration into the Nutanix ecosystem and all the services provided by that ecosystem, from Nutanix Objects, Acropolis Hypervisor, Nutanix Volume Groups, and Nutanix Files. So we're going to be going through each of these individual facets of how we can support that Nutanix ecosystem through vPlus and just going through some backup and recoveries that we can perform within vPlus as well. vPlus is a data protection application. It's a back and restore application that can back up agentlessly Nutanix Acropolis hypervisors, Nutanix volume groups, Nutanix files, and also take advantage of Nutanix objects as a backup destination while doing its backup. So just storing that backup on S3 compatible storage within Nutanix objects. So what we'll be doing here is we're just going to be going through each of these individual elements of the Nutanix ecosystem and how they all get configured within vPlus. So before I get started, let me give you a run through of the environment that we'll be using. So we're actually connected to Nutanix Labs at this point. We're running our DPX vPlus server in the Nutanix Labs itself, from which we can access the vPlus server from the UI. Here I can access my Prism Central server, and I can also access my Prism Element servers here as well. So let us jump into vPlus and talk about some of these different elements that we'll be configuring within vPlus. The first thing that we'll need to do is we'll need to configure a backup destination for our vPlus software, and these are it's just storage for which the snapshots that we'll be taking of VMs, of files, of volume groups are going to be stored and located. And I can do that under the backup destination screen on my vPlus UI here. And you can see that we can configure different types of storage devices, anything from file system to object storage to enterprise backup applications. In the case of Nutanix objects, we're going to be configuring object storage here. So you can see I already have an object storage destination that is S3 compatible. This object storage destination is actually Nutanix Object Storage running in the background. So if I jump to my Prism Central server where I would have configured my infrastructure here, this is where I'd also enable the Nutanix Objects Unified Storage service. And you can see here that I have public IPs that are going to be available within this object store. In this case, I'll be using 85.94. I'm going to configure some buckets that vPlus can use as our backup destination. So here I have a vPlus bucket that I'm already running backups to, and it's about 1.2 terabytes listed here. To be able to access that bucket, I'll also need to configure my access and secret keys and provide those into vPlus, and I can do this through the Nutanix GUI here as well. So this is where I would go and create all these elements and parameters that I can use to connect with my Nutanix Object Storage in vPlus. And once I have all these parameters, my access and secret key, I can go ahead and jump to my vPlus UI and create that S3 compatible object storage. I'm just going to take you through one that we already have configured here. This is object storage that we called vPlus backup here. If I edit the settings for this, you can see that it has been defined as my default backup destination here. It's using some node configuration that is configured within vPlus, and this vPlus node will act as the gateway or connector into that Nutanix object storage listed there. Now, with the S3 compatible settings, this is where I'm going to be providing the URL to access that bucket. So I'm going to be providing with one of the API URLs that I can use to access my Nutanix Object Storage. I can select or configure the bucket name here, specify the region, as well as enable any other options like encryption or object tagging listed here as well. To be able to write to that storage, though, you're going to need the access and the secret key that you would have created in your Prism Central server as well. And this is one of those things that when you create the access and secret key, it only appears once. So be sure to capture that and then copy and paste that into your vPlus configuration here for Nutanix Object Storage. So now with Nutanix Object Storage created and now accessible as a backup destination in my vPlus environment, I can now go about scanning in the Nutanix Acropolis hypervisor to my vPlus configuration.